Hello and welcome. Today we're going to go over the top 10 racial feats for D&D. These are in my opinion. On the top right of your screen up there on the card should be the video to take you back to the top 10 feats in general for all classes, okay? This is specifically for racial feats, all right? So, before we get into it, today's video sponsor is myself. Are you a dungeon master that has been frustrated by D&D mass combat rules? Well, worry no longer. I have a solution for you DMs. The Squad Combat module lets you run mass combat quickly, with massive customization options. Do you like additional D&D supplements that improve the immersion and realism of your games? Want maps for your D&D adventures? Reduce your prep time, improve your games, and become a Patreon member today by clicking the link below in the description to join. And a big shout out to the Patreons that make these videos possible. Alright, so let's get to it. Number 10 is Fear, okay? So Dragon Fear. So, what does this feat actually do? Well, it's a half feat, all right? So it increases your strength, con, or charisma by 1, okay? That's already starting off very good. There are some feats that don't give half feats, but this is one of them, okay? Now, what this basically does is, as a Dragonborn, you get a breath weapon attack, okay? Basically, you can read it down there. I'm not going to read it for you. It basically gets you an AoE effect or a line effect of damage you can do once, okay, per short or long rest, okay? Dragon Fear is going to change this into a frightening condition, okay? Now, you may ask how frightening works. Well, I have it here, okay? Basically, a frightened creature has disadvantage on all ability checks and attack rolls while the source of fear is within its sight line, okay? And the creature can't willingly move closer to its sort of source of fear, okay? So, what this means, okay, is usually, depends on your DM, okay? Everyone within 30 feet of you that fails this saving throw that is not chosen by, that's basically chosen by you, so not your allies, okay, is frightened, and they have disadvantage against attacking everyone, okay? This single-handedly can shut down an entire encounter, okay? An entire combat encounter is gone with this, okay? And a frontliner can destroy, okay, an encounter like this, and it basically, you can turn all of the enemies to have disadvantage. And it works for a minute, which is basically, combats are all pretty much over in 1 minute, all right? Now, the caveat is, it depends on your DM. You can have a DM that says they're not exactly, like, looking at the target, so then it doesn't affect them, but rules as written, usually you can see everywhere around you on D&D, okay? So it should affect them. Now, the one caveat here is that it takes your, as a DC save, so it's 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma, okay? Usually strength builds, okay, frontline builds have strength or dex, okay? And they don't have a very high save for this, right? However, a Hexblade Paladin, if you combine it, because Hexblade allows you to add your charisma modifier to your attack rolls, or basically swaps your attack from strength and dex, okay, it goes over to charisma, which means you solve that problem and you solve this problem too, because then you can have like an 18 save on this, and it works very well on paladins with crossblade into warlock hexblade, okay? If you have all of that, instantly shut down an encounter and can probably save your entire party's life, okay? This is one of the feats that I put on this list that's a one-time use. I don't really like one-time use things, but this one is very, very, very powerful, and that is why it gets the number 10 slot, okay? Number 9, Flames of Phlegethos. Obviously, I can't spell because I'm dumb American, all right? So, half feat, okay? You have to be a tiefling to take this, okay? Basically, half feat, good, gets your charisma and intelligence up, and when you can basically cast a fireball, okay, and you can re-roll all once. When you roll fire damage for a spell you cast, comma, you can re-roll any of the ones on the fire damage dice, comma, but you must use the new roll even if it's another 1. That means if you roll nothing but ones on your fireball, you can re-roll every single one of them, okay? As a DM, that is how I'm interpreting this spell, okay? And it's basically how you should interpret it. I mean, it's basically what it says, right? And that can save you. You can turn all of your 1s into 6s, in theory, and it's very good. Also, another big thing here is whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage, you can cause flames to wither until the end of your next turn. The flame doesn't harm you in the process, okay, or your possessions, and they shed bright light out to 30 feet and dim light for additional 30 feet. So basically, you cast a light, whenever you cast a light cantrip, whenever you cast any cantrip with fire in it, okay? And while the flames are present, any creature within 5 feet of you that hits you with a melee attack takes 1d4 fire damage, okay? Now, it says spells, okay? This includes all cantrips that do fire damage. So, Fireball, Produce Flames, Create Bonfire, and Green Flame Blade all count. If you are surrounded by enemies, as a spellcaster, or anyone really, and you cast Flame Blade, you can kill all the minions around you, okay? If they all attack you, they all have to take 1d4 fire damage. Surprisingly, it can be useful if you get surrounded a lot by mini monsters, like little monsters. It depends on how your DM is. If your DM does very few but stronger monsters, it's a problem because 1d4 damage is not going to do a lot, okay? But if you have little minions, might do something for you, okay? Also, it works on cantrips, which is very, very nice, okay? You can do a damaging cantrip, like Firebolt, on a target, and they get this as a bonus effect on it, okay? So very useful there, and it's a half feat, and you can reroll all ones on Fireball, or whatever spell you reroll, okay? Very good. That's why it's number 9, okay? Number 8, Second Chance. Okay, so this one requires you to be a halfling, okay? So, it's a half feat, and basically what it gets you is you get unlimited rolls back on intelligence rolls, okay? So, or initiative rolls, right? So whenever you get hit as a tiefling, you can use your reaction to make the enemy reroll an attack, okay? You can use this, okay, once per combat, but you get it back every time you roll initiative, okay? This is very useful, okay? It lets you survive one attack in, like, be able to. If they're going to roll a nat 20, you can re-roll it and maybe make it a 1, okay? It's up to you on that, and as a reaction that you get back on all of your initiative rolls, very, very good, okay? That's why it is number 8 for Second Chance on halflings. Okay, so number 7, Drow High Magic, okay? Prerequisite is you have to be an elf drow, okay? So, what does this get you? You learn the ability to cast Detect Magic spell at will, okay, without expending a spell slot, okay? I cannot tell you how important that is. Detect Magic at will means you can spam a first level spell at will and not take anything for it, okay? And what does Detect Magic get you? Basically, you can sense magic within 30 feet of you, okay? And it can be behind a limited cover, limited things, okay? Now, how useful is this? Well, it depends on the scenario that you're going to be using it in, okay? But basically, having a spell that gets you at will, Detect Magic, is always good, okay? And it lasts 10 minutes at will. Yeah, so pretty good there. However, this gets better. You can also cast Levitate and Dispel Magic, okay? That's a 2nd level spell for Levitate, and Dispel Magic is a 3rd level spell, okay? So Levitate lets you basically, levitate as a person, or an object can be levitated, okay? And Dispel Magic lets you dispel magic. Of course, it's good, right? As you play as a magic caster and you take this feat, you're gonna have fun. You get unlimited uses of Detect Magic, and 1 2nd level spell for free, and 1 3rd level spell slot for free. You can't argue with this. It's very good either way you take it, okay? So that's why it's number 7. Number 6, Dragonhide, okay? So Dragonhide requires you to be a Dragonborn, okay? It's a half feat, basically. You get Strength, Con, or Charisma by 1. Very good. And the reason you take it is because it increases your regular armor from 10 to 13, okay, as an AC. And then you can add your Dex modifier on top of that and use a shield and still gain the benefit, okay? What this allows you to do is if you have 13 base, you have 5 dexterity, and you have a +2 shield, you give yourself 20 AC as a Dex fighter, okay? That's insanely high for a Dex fighter to get, okay? Usually Dex fighters can get only a 19, because Strength fighters can have plate for 18 and then 2 for another shield, right, for 20. You just get 20 as a Dex fighter. Very good, okay? That's basically the reason you take this feat, is to get ridiculous AC if you're using a shield and you're a Dex, okay? And it's a half feat, but you're going to have to pump it into Constitution if you're taking it for Dex. And then also you get Claws, okay? The claws extend and do 1d4 as a natural weapon, but quote unquote, you can make them as an unarmed strike and use your strength modifier instead of normal bludgeoning damage. You can do slashing. How useful is this? I don't really know. it's if you combine it with unarmed fighting, there might be a combo there, and I say might because it's not exactly a 1-for-1 because unarmed fighting requires you to drop your shield and have only your two hands, and it goes up to 1d6 and 1d8, and there's specific restrictions on there, and those restrictions are for bludgeoning damage, where this is slashing. So maybe your DM will let you have this if you do slashing and unarmed fighting, maybe. Also, Monk could be an option, but Monk has their own thing they're doing for 1d6 and 1d8, okay? That's not slashing damage, okay, but bludgeoning magic damage. So there might be a combo there, there might not. I'm just leaving that there, okay? Otherwise, the main reason you take this is for the Dex, okay? Basically, Dex fighter of 20 AC, and it's a half feat. That's why it's number 6, okay? Number 5, Infernal Constitution, okay? Now, this is where the stuff gets real good, all right? So, Infernal Constitution requires you to be a tiefling, okay? Half feat, you basically get 1 con. Very good, okay? You get resistance to cold and poison damage, okay? I cannot tell you how powerful that is, okay? But on top of that, you also get advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. Now, as a tiefling, you're naturally resistant to fire damage, okay? So you're fire resistant. With this feat, you become cold resistant and poison resistant. Those 3 damage types are among the most common spell damage types, okay? Right? And you get advantage on being poisoned. A lot of creatures can poison you. So being able to save on being poisoned is very good, because being poisoned means you have disadvantage on your attack rolls, which I don't need to tell you is very bad, okay? If you put this on a fighter as a tiefling, you can laugh at your DM as you're like, nah, take half damage. Nah, take half damage. Nah, take half damage. If you combine this with Heavy Armor Master, you basically, if you combine this with Heavy Armor Master, you basically take half damage from fire, cold, and poison. Then, if they hit you with a slashing, bludgeoning, or piercing weapon, you take -3 damage on all of those attacks. So if you take that combo, you just laugh at your DM as you become ridiculously resistant to damage, okay? That's why it's number 5. Number 4, Dwarven Fortitude, okay? It's a half feat. You get +1 your con. Very good. Now, what is the main premise of this? Whenever you take the dodge action, okay, in combat, you can spend 1 hit die and roll a die and add your con modifier and regain hit points equal to a total minimum of 1, okay? What that really means is let you heal yourself in combat, okay? So let's say you're like, I need health. I take the dodge action this turn, okay? When you take the dodge action, you're going to roll a hit die. For example, let's say you're a fighter and you have a max constitution, okay? You're going to roll 1d10 plus 5 and heal that, while also dodging, which means all attacks against you have disadvantage. Now, you can see that this is powerful already, okay? But how powerful is this? Well, extremely, okay? Depending on your DM, and this is depending on your DM, usually your DM is not running 6 to 8 encounters a day, described by the DMG and basically everywhere on the thing, okay? Everywhere on the internet. If they're not doing that, and they're also not giving you your 2 to 3 short rests a day for the combats you're doing, okay, let's be honest here, most people aren't running D&D like that, then this feat becomes even better, okay, because usually, my campaigns I'm taking there, we get one short rest per day, usually, and we just fight it out, and then we take a long rest or whatever, okay? If you know that you can only get 1 short rest, okay, and you basically aren't taking that much damage, this has become extraordinarily useful because you can basically heal for all of your hit die, really. And if you don't even take short rest in a campaign, let's say you're doing like a run through a dungeon or something, and you don't ever going to use your hit die, well, let's use your hit die and not take a short rest. Again, very good. You can combine this again with different feats that get you max healing on dice roll, like if a life cleric was near you. And there's also some magic items that can boost this even further, okay? This is very good to have. That's why Dwarven Fortitude is number 4. Number 3, Wood Elf Magic, okay? Now, this is very good for the very simple reason that Rangers have limited spell slots. They don't have that many spell slots, okay? Usually 2, 3, 1, right? That's a problem. But what does this allow you to do? As a ranger, whenever you get, I think it's level 2 or level 1, you are able to pick the fighting style, okay? if you go back to the video that I described, right, for the fighting styles, you can go click up there. Basically, what this allows you to do is instead of picking Druidic Warrior for your Ranger, lets you pick the Archery Fighting style. Archery Fighting style gives you a +2 on all attack rolls, okay? Druidic Warrior basically got you 2 cantrips from the Druid class, okay? With Wood Elf Magic as a feat, you don't have to take Druidic Warrior, so you can take your +2 Archery Fighting style instead. Why is this? Because Wood Elf Magic gives you 1 Druid cantrip, which you can take for guidance. 1d4 on basically every ability check for the rest of the game is very good. You get Long Strider and Pass Without Trace once each for free, okay? Long Strider is a very good buff. If you pair it with Mobile and you're a Wood Elf, okay, you can go 55 feet in a turn, okay, without dashing. That's very good. So again, very useful buff right there, but the Pass Without Trace is incredible. It lets you basically cast Pass Without Trace, okay, once, and everyone around you gets +10 to their stealth. This lets you bypass things that you shouldn't be able to bypass, like enemy groups or whatever, right? If your fighters have disadvantage, well, they have disadvantage +10. So very good there. Also, this feat doesn't have to be paired with a specific ranger build. You could take this on any build if you want, and it would be good. The Pass Without Trace is amazing, and Guidance is amazing. That is why it is ranked number 3 in my opinion, okay? But for Rangers, it's even more critical for them, and it basically makes them a very, very good class, okay? That's why they rank number 3. Number 2, Elven Accuracy. Okay, so Elven Accuracy. Everyone knew it was going to be on this list. Basically, you have to be an elf or a half-elf. What does it do? It's a half feat. You get 1 dex, 1 intelligence, 1 wisdom, or 1 charisma. You get only one of them, right? It has a half feat. But it lets you have advantage on all attack rolls using dex, intelligence, charisma, and you can reroll 1 of the die. Okay, what does this actually mean? So, when you roll advantage, you roll 2 dice. Okay? Now, once you roll 2 dice, with Elven Accuracy, and if it's a dex, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, not strength, you can pick one of the 2 die that you rolled and re-roll it again. That is how that's supposed to work. My group, you just roll 3 dice on Discord, okay? However you do it is however you do it. But how it's written, 2 dice rolled, and then you re-roll whichever dice you want, okay? So in total, you roll 3 times on an advantage, which means you can critical a lot. A lot of the time, you can pretty much get a critical damage. And if not, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to hit whatever you're shooting at, okay? Now, this feat becomes extremely broken when you use it with Steady Shot, okay? Steady Shot is a thing rogues get as an optional feature at level 3 and lets you have advantage on all attack rolls, okay, for 1 attack roll, but rogues only get 1 attack, okay? So, what does this mean? If you take Steady Shot and you haven't moved, because you can't move when you do this, your speed goes to 0, you get advantage. Once you have advantage, as a rogue, and you shoot, you roll 3 dice, okay? So 2 dice, re-roll again. At that point, you can do critical damage. If you do critical damage, you get your sneak attack critical and your weapon critical. Amazing amount of output damage for a rogue that takes Elven Accuracy, okay? Other classes is still very useful. Just rogue, it becomes stupid useful, okay? That's why it's ranked number 2, okay? And rank number 1 should become as no surprise to anyone. Bountiful Luck, okay? Your prerequisite is to be a halfling, okay? Halflings get all the good stuff. Basically, you can, whenever someone within 30 feet of you fails a roll, ability, an attack roll, or an ability check, or, more importantly, a saving throw, you can use your reaction to let that ally reroll the dice. They must use a new roll, and you can't use this feature until the end of your next turn, okay? This means everyone around you has unlimited luckies outside of combat, okay? Because 12 seconds goes by in like a split second if you're talking to someone or whatever, right? That is insane, okay? That is insane. You reroll pretty much... Everyone that rolls a 1 is never going to roll a 1 around you, okay? Outside of combat. While in combat, this can save your party's life, okay? If someone rolls that critical 1 on a fireball that's coming at them, you can be like, I got you, buddy, and have them reroll the, 1 and maybe get a 15 or something like that and pass, okay? That is extremely useful. It is better than lucky, in my opinion, if you're running it for allies because it is unlimited. It never runs out, okay? extremely helpful for allies. Okay, if you want your party to be like god tier, you take halfling, cleric, a life cleric, and you take this feat, and they will love you. Okay, it is amazing what this feat is potential. Okay, and that's why it's number one. Okay, that's what again. This is all my opinion, but there you go. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon for supporting this channel. Okay, if you click right up there, it should get you to a video for the 10 feats for D&D that you should watch for this one. Otherwise, there is a Patreon link up there if you wish to support me. Okay. Otherwise, you people have a nice day.